At a recent press conference, Mayor Daley gave an update on the city's plans for the $220 million for public housing awarded under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Here are highlights of the December 1st press conference.
Washington is meeting this week, I believe, or the following week on the new stimulus package about putting people to work through the private sector. And I've always encouraged that in my talking to Washington, that you have to move the private sector. It isn't government putting more people on. It's how do you move the private sector to hire more people? That is the key, and that's what they have to figure out. It isn't just the federal government hiring a lot of people. That really compounds the problem. You really have to allow the private sector some way economic stimulus package for them to put people on, and not for 1 year, but for many, many years. And one of the proposals I have made is that allow a company who wants to hire from one person to 100 or 500, no federal taxes for the life of that employee. And that any money left over, it has to be used for technology and research for that company. It cannot be used for bonuses. It cannot use updating salaries. It cannot replace workers in the workforce. So it's really restrictive that you want to put more people on to work. And that's the idea, because if they're working, they're going to pay their federal, state, and local taxes. You need people to work. Government just can't put more people on. If they do that way, it's going to fail. I really firmly believe. Affordable housing is a major building block of strong communities and thriving neighborhoods. And we can see just recently with all the foreclosures that we've had, we sat down with all the major banks. We sat down with Fannie Mae and now Freddie Mac. And we're going over all the buildings that they own, that are already foreclosed, or those that are vacant and open, or those will be vacant. We're evaluating all that. We're looking at each property, assessing it according to our commitment, how much it costs the city to really fire, police, building department, sanitation department, all the other ones that go in there, to look at that. And so what we're going to do with all these buildings. But like anything else, affordable housing has always been the American dream. And we made a strong commitment in affordable housing. You can see right here, dealing with this Flannery Apartments. CHA has wonderful senior buildings all over the city. We're building more and more housing for seniors, and now we're building housing for grandparents raising grandchildren, which is really important for us. It keeps our family ties together. It is something that we see on a daily basis. We build more single room occupancy as well as other affordable housing, both rental housing and, of course, home ownership is the key. For those who are struggling, we have built, supported, and preserved more than 170,000 new homes and apartments and neighborhoods throughout the city over the past 20 years under our affordable housing plan for the CHA for Plan for Transformation. This is the largest plan for transformation in the history of this country, maybe the history of the world, that we see here. And I want to thank the federal, state, and local authorities all working together with Ellen Sally in our housing department, as well as Louis Jordan and others, and our working relationship in Washington and in Springfield. We have aggressively addressed the needs of Chicago homeless population with our plan to end homelessness. And to help people who are at risk at losing their homes or to foreclosure, we were the first large city to develop a comprehensive approach to prevent foreclosures and reduce their impacts on communities. I want to thank Alderman Barnett, Alderman Austin, Alderman Suarez. We're the first to do this. Many, many years ago, we foresaw the problem, and we started doing something about it. These efforts have helped revive and sustain many communities and families. Right now, our housing programs are more important than ever because a national housing crisis and economic turndown. And when you have no value in housing, that is the issue that we see. It affects everything. When there's no value in commercial residential housing, and you can see the impact. Someone bought a home for $500,000, now it's valued at $250,000. Someone bought a home at $300,000, it's valued at $150,000. The value has disappeared. Then you wonder why. And when there's no value in real estate, many times there's no value in anything else. You can see just in all the sales they're having in all the merchants, all the businesses today. And you can see the stock market, everybody's looking for value. And that's why it's so important to stabilize, to get back to value in real estate. That is the key to the future of the economic revival here in this country. Right now, our housing programs are more, and that's why we proposed in 2010, the city budget remains fully committed to providing housing and support services for our residents' need, and why we will never back away from our plan for transformation of public housing, which is now about 70% complete. It is going to take a while for the economy to recover. Until it does, it is critical that we make use of every possible resource to support our residents. One of the most important resources we have right now to help people get through these terrible times is the federal economic stimulus package, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. That federal program provides us with enormous opportunities, especially in the area of housing. We have made it a priority to make sure Chicago receives the greatest possible benefit from it. Today, I'm pleased to be able to report that Chicago Housing Authority has received more federal economic stimulus competitive grant funding than any other public housing authority in the country. And I want to thank Louis Jordan, Marty Nesbitt, the entire board, all the residents, CHA, all those that worked. Now think of that. They were awarded about $66 million in competitive grants out of a total of about $1 billion available nationally. And that is a great credit to their staff and a great credit, Louis Jordan and Marty Nesbitt. And this is on top of $144 million CHA received in formula funds under the economic stimulus package. Today, we are at the Flannery Apartments, which is one of 22 CHA senior buildings that have received an upgraded or new energy-efficient boiler through economic stimulus funds. The buildings and unit interiors have recently been renovated as part of a plan for transformation. Now the new energy-efficient equipment will provide more cost-effective heating and hot water services, which is really important to all the tenants. Chicago's senior citizens have worked hard all their lives, love their children, grandchildren, giving them a chance to have a better quality of life. It is important. They have really built the city. Seniors have. This project represents another important step taken by city government and Chicago Housing Authority to make sure seniors have affordable, accessible housing, opportunity to enjoy a comfortable, secure living environment. But this is just part of the housing improvements we're able to make because of the federal support. In addition, CHA will use $26 million in grant awards to support 2 CHA locations, Pomeroy Apartments and West End Phase 2. Both sites will use a variety of sustainable techniques that will result in lower energy costs, reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It used $9.9 million for construction of 137 new mixed rental buildings at Ogden and North and the site of the former Rockwell Gardens public housing site. Use $8 million to provide 112 new rental apartments at Parkside, Old Town, which is part of an ongoing effort to transform the former Cabrini Green development into a mixed-income community. Using federal funds, CHA has also begun work rehab units at Wentworth Gardens and making ADA upgrades of 90 additional sites. The total $66 million in grants will have an impact on 5,700 units, combined with $144 million in formula funding under the federal program. CHA will be able to develop, rehab, or make energy efficiency improvements in more than 6,900 units of public housing. And that's work that couldn't have been done right now without federal support. And I want to thank President Obama for that support. To date, Chicago has been awarded more than $1.375 billion in areas of education, energy, environment, transportation, housing, workforce development, and public safety. Since our last update, we have begun or continue to work on many projects supported by the federal program. For example, completed 28th Street resurfacing projects and working on 3 others. Completed 80% of the O'Hare project, which has provided more than 25,000 hours work. The Department of Aviation has been awarded a security camera grant from Midway, received $1.7 million grants for cafeterias improvements in Chicago public schools. I want to remind everyone that all the information about how we use this federal money can be found on the city's website. Thank you.